I've been caught stealing once when I was 5. I enjoy stealing. It's just as simple as that. Well, it's just a simple fact. When I want something, I don't pay for it. I walk right through the door. I walk right through the door. Hey, all right. If I get by, it's mine. Mine, all mine. This is the Community Solutions Podcast. Jason Bradley, Andrew Richter, making a mess of the countryside, tearing cities down, building others back up.
Well, the countryside's only one place we're making a mess out of.
Yeah.
We're making a mess everywhere, I think.
I think we are. How are you?
Good. That song was called what? Making a...
What?
Say that again? That sounds familiar to me.
That you want the lyrics again?
Well, just kind of, yeah.
I've been caught stealing once when I was 5. I enjoy stealing. It's just as simple as that. Well, it's just a simple fact. When I want something, I don't want to pay for it. I walk right through the door, walk right through the door. Hey, all right, if I get by, it's mine. Mine, all mine.
Why does that sound familiar to me? I don't know why.
Well, it probably is. It's, if the synapses were firing right back there, probably you'd have a match.
My synapses?
Yeah. Isn't that what, in the brain, those things fire and they pass information?
No, it's my serotonin levels down, so
is that what
I'm
it is?
depressed, so I can't use that part of my brain.
I see.
This is going to bug me.
Sounds like you need a government program.
No, I don't need a government program.
Okay.
But I'll take one if it's free.
Isn't it always?
I've been paying for it since I was 16. I might as well use it.
Well, I got you thinking this week. That's good. Either I know this or you throw your hands up in the air. I don't know this. I got you thinking. I like this.
Let me think for another minute here.
Yeah. This makes for
I don't understand. I know,
yes.
but I don't understand why I can't remember. It's like I can hear the song and I'm blanking on who it's by.
Okay.
It's like when we had Schools Out, and I should have known that, and I could hear it in my head, and I couldn't put the name with the face.
That happens.
This sounds like a group, though, not a person.
Yes, I'll give you that. Now
Jane's Addiction?
Yeah.
I got it right.
What's the name of the song?
Whatever you said earlier. No, it's like I can hear it. I can't believe I don't know how I figured it out.
Yeah.
I really don't. After 5 minutes of compelling radio here, it just finally came to me.
I've been caught stealing.
Caught stealing.
Caught stealing, yeah. By Jane's Addiction.
All right, so that's 12 and a quarter now.
I'll give you credit for that one. You got the band. That's good.
Band without the title, I'm going to give myself a round of applause. I'm still under 10%.
The band is the hard part, usually. So.
Yes, I'm still, I could still get a job with the Tigers, but I'm batting pretty low. Ultimately, I'm batting low. So, but
yeah,
the Tigers I could bat clean up. Anyhow, James, I got it's something eating at me. It's been eating at me since last week.
Okay.
I drove through Robbinsdale last week. I used to live in Robbinsdale. Okay, and it was a while ago.
Yeah,
I lived there for a couple of years. And I unfortunately it was for a wake. That's why I drove through it, because the place where it was on West Broadway.
Okay.
I can't believe how much it's changed over there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to be a sadist here, but do things change too quickly? They just change is it too much, too quick? I mean, put it to you this way.
Okay.
There's a bunch of like apartment buildings and tall, I don't even know what they are, that and houses and things that were not there when I lived there. Mm-hmm. Okay, now I lived by where Robbinsdale Middle School is.
Okay.
It was
east
side of 100. Okay, 39th and Perry. And, the old Robbinsdale Junior High, that's gone. It's all whatever you want to call it, houses that look the same, blah, 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 blah. But Robbinsdale used to be this nice little, I don't know how I describe it, small town feel kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
They had the nice downtown, which they still kind of have, although I think they've lost the feel of that a little bit. But I'm driving through like, wait, where was I? I mean, there's just so much has changed in the last, say, 15 years that is there something to too much change too fast? That you lose the character and feel of what you had? Because I know so many people, living in this area my whole life, and Robbinsdale school districts where I went to school, and I knew so many people who grew up in Robbinsdale.
Yeah.
I played baseball against them. I mean, saw them at my high school reunion, blah, blah, blah. And it's not the same city anymore. Am I out of touch with reality here,
Maybe.
or what's the matter with me?
Maybe.
I don't know. It's just, I remember the Terrace Theater where,
Right.
I had a friend who lived on Hubbard and, or maybe it was Grimes and 30-something. I can picture the house, but I can't remember. And, you could walk there. There was a Dairy Queen to walk to right there. I'm not sure if that's still there anymore.
Yes.
It is?
Yeah,
Okay.
Dairy Queen's still there.
Walk down to the Eagle's Nest and over to the old Breakaway. And I remember Whiz Bang days. I used to always go to that. I don't even know if they have it anymore. I played softball in it a few times. Do they? Yeah. But I mean, it's just I feel like the town, and I'm not picking on. I'm just picking on Robbinsdale because I hadn't driven through there in a while. It feels like a different city to me.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about race or gender or age or nothing like that. I'm just saying the feel and the atmosphere just feels different. I mean, I either I'm crazy or I'm not. Which am I?
Well, I think society has changed a lot too, and that can change the feel of a town.
I don't think people have a grasp of how fast this nation's changing.
No.
I don't know if anybody has a grasp.
I don't recognize my country. I mean, from what it was, I think just even 10 short years ago, it's an entirely different place, and the things that we were fighting against then we're fighting against some of those same things, but we've moved so far that we're fighting now that we would never have imagined that we're fighting.
Do we need the old Soviet Union back? Do we need an enemy?
Well, I mean, we kind of have some of that, but again, we've got a group in America that they don't believe they think we're the enemy,
right.
and so they refuse to take a look at what countries like Iran are doing, North Korea, Russia, or they'll blame Russia when it's convenient to demonize one side, but they won't look at what's really going on, and
but it offends me to no end how somebody can, especially somebody who I won't single anybody out who's a Minnesota congressperson, but how somebody can immigrate to this country and get every little benefit that bestowed upon them and then tell us what a terrible nation we are. I mean, I just don't understand how people are.
Right.
I mean, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, that would have never played. That person would have been run out on the rails,
right?
Figuratively. Okay, but I mean, it would have never gone. Nobody would have gone for it. And I just feel that there is and I know we're going way off from driving through Robbinsdale here, but I mean, the whole notion that America has to be blown up and remade.
Mm-hmm.
Where does that come from? I mean, what has caused that?
Well,
I mean,
progressivism has caused that.
Okay, but we had progressivism 25 years
right.
ago. Why is it?
Well, we weren't as progressed back then.
Well, we had progressives in the 60s.
We
had them in the 30s.
Well, I mean, even look at the 60s.
I guess it was considered radical at the time, and maybe
right.
that's the perspective that's different.
Right. It's no longer radical. This is, they've progressed to this point. And, there's new stuff that's seen as radical. And if it isn't stopped, it's going to not seem so radical in 10 years, 20 years.
But 20 years ago, a living wage was considered hooey.
Right.
Now a living wage is not only mainstream, but I would say it's been picked up by, I would say, an entire political party and perhaps a handful of people in another one.
Yeah.
Have somehow got on this theme of but here's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't often quote convicted felons, but I've quoted this guy on the show before, G. Gordon Liddy.
Right.
When I was a kid, this was a free country. And there's a line in the book saying, if you don't know freedom, you can't lose it. Mm-hmm. So the further and further we get from where we were, there's no appreciation for what we were.
Right.
So why the country's changing is because this is what we've known.
Yeah.
We don't teach history anymore. Nobody knows anything.
No, I mean,
how much do you think AOC knows about the American Revolution? She probably couldn't even.
No.
Probably the only thing she knows is just they were a bunch of slaveholders. That's
right.
The only thing.
You sit her down with Rocky IV, and she wouldn't understand why everybody's booing.
Yeah, that's right. She'd be cheering for the other side.
She probably would.
So I don't know.
Drago
It's just
guy.
It's just just driving throughout. It just kind of hit me. How it wasn't that long ago I lived there, maybe 15 years ago, and it was changing then. I mean, I remember that was when 36 was getting rebuilt, back when that used to not be a bridge, and I remember that.
Yeah.
That Cub wasn't there. That was old
it was all stoplights.
Yeah, it was old Melky Field back when I played football.
Yeah. That wasn't that many years ago. You had the Greek restaurant over by Cub there,
right? Back in the 90s. So I mean, it's not that long. So anyhow, just kind of a nostalgic drive. I kind of took the long route, but I mean, I don't know. It's just maybe I know nothing stays the same and nothing's ever going to, but I don't know. There's I get it when I drive through Crystal too. There's a nostalgia that I want to go back to.
Right.
I want to go back to when I was in Little League or something.
And I think, I know we probably need to move on here, but you look at where you grew up and you're nostalgic about it, and so any change is difficult, but especially when almost every city in this state and really in the nation has adopted a lot of these same principles of high density housing, mixed use development, transit.
It's the social engineering.
It's the social engineering that it does change the face of a community, and that's a lot of what we fight against here.
But don't you run out at some point? Don't you run out of people who want to live in high density? Don't you run out of people who want to walk on a complete street? I mean, at some point, if it's everywhere, then no city is unique. No city has its own character. No city has its own feel. No city has its own identity. So, I mean, because it's like, okay, Robbinsdale and like Osseo have their like little old small town downtowns, and a more modern city like Maple Grove is very different. And so, but if they all become the same thing, then what do we have? We have a cookie cutter everywhere.
Well, that's kind of the plan.
Yeah, you want vanilla here or there.
Yeah.
So there's no chocolate, there's no strawberry, there's no nothing. So I mean, I don't know, it just hit me. Maybe I realized how old I am. I had a birthday recently.
You sure are.
It is scary. I mean, I know the date I plan to retire. May 2nd, 2036. I mean, that's my goal.
Not from Community Solutions, I hope.
Oh, no, we'll have taken over the world by then, so then I can take my guaranteed pension and get out of here. But the point, I don't consider the 90s that long ago.
Yeah.
I don't consider the 2000s. I don't consider 2010 very long ago.
Right.
Okay, and there's been a lot of change. It's just kind of, I don't know, it kind of hits you a little bit. So. Yeah. Anyhow, speaking of change, speaking of nightmares on Elm Street, speaking of serial killers and psychopaths, We moved to St. Louis Park.
Nice transition. That's great.
And Jay, we are sitting in St. Louis Park in our underground lair, our special bunker that is protected with massive amounts of concrete. Nobody can find us here in our underground lair. If you and I both had a stroke at the same time, there's enough air in here for about 12 hours. Okay, and that's it. That's the underground layer that we're in. And it is a war zone here in St. Louis Park. Of course, I'm being facetious, but I mean, the point being that it's kind of like New Hope, where the bad news never ends. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like never getting rid of diarrhea. You just have it forever.
Wow.
You just and that's St. Louis Park. It's one after another.
Is this like that scene in Dumb and Dumber? Is that
That's right. What's the guy's name? Lloyd
Christmas? Yeah.
No, Lloyd Christmas is the other
Harry.
guy. Harry. Yeah. Lloyd Christmas. I just thought of something funny. I knew somebody with that kind of haircut. Lloyd Christmas was his nickname from that point on. Okay, so anyhow, St. Louis Park, Jay, is discussing. Actually, they've quote unquote tabled discussing, and we'll talk about that in a second. Wait a minute. Let me back up.
Okay.
Asking the state of Minnesota if they can have a referendum to implement a city sales tax.
Wow.
You'll be glad to know it is supported by the local representatives here, Ron Lance.
Of course.
The other person, I can't remember her name, doesn't matter. And, of course, Arthur Fonzarelli Winkler III Jr., who, of course, without a strand of hair out of place, smelling like grease and motor oil, wholeheartedly. In fact, he is going to take this up in the legislature if they ask.
I'm sure he will.
But they have not done so yet. They decided to table it, or as we like to say, go back to the drawing board and figure out how to sell it.
Right.
They got to get that sales pitch down.
Oh my goodness.
Of what they're going to do to sell this. Now, Jay, refresh my memory here. We've talked about this local sales tax thing before. If you want to go back to the episode where Garrett Christensen from Elk River was on, and they had the big hubbub about well, you're either going to pass a sales tax or we're going to bond it.
Right.
So you want to be shot or hung? Tell us. And so that was the big deal. I think that was in 2018. I want to say, and so, which is an example of this legislation. Mm-hmm. But I'm a little confused at St. Louis Park. Not a surprise.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it is confusing, the claims they're making. They have described themselves as conflicted about this idea. Now, Jay, I watched this council meeting where this was just on January 21st. And I'm going to tell you something, folks. Don't watch it. The sacrifices that I make and you make for this show are sufficient enough, okay? I would rather get a boil on my buttocks ripped out with a rusty nail than watch this council meeting again. Wow. You're just going to have to trust. 3 hours long. You're just going to have to trust me, okay, that you don't want to watch it. But I am scratching my head at the first part of this, because what they're trying to claim here is that they are paying for things that have a regional purpose. I don't know if that's part of why what you have to submit to ask for a sales tax, which makes no sense.
Right.
I mean, if it's a regional thing, why is one city
paying for it?
Yeah, I don't understand that. But here are the locations, Jay, where
all right,
where they are proposing to do this work on. $37.5 million is the price tag.
Wow.
Now, I get questions about...
That's not quite... Well, yeah, that is New Hope money there, isn't it?
But I get questions about that, because, I mean, that's more than City of Crystal projects to redo the roads and put new sewers in. And how in the world does that cost so much?
Well, it's
inflation's a bitch, I guess. Okay. Louisiana Avenue from I-394 to Walker Street.
Okay.
Cedar Lake Road from Highway 169 to Kentucky Avenue. Now, I don't know what that is exactly.
Okay, well, that goes right by. There's an elementary school on the north side of that, east side of 169, north side of Cedar Lake Road. Okay. They just did part of Cedar Lake Road last summer over near West End on the east side of the city. Yeah.
The other west?
Right, the other west.
Like West St. Paul?
West
not
to,
west of St. Paul?
Right, exactly. They stuck a roundabout in there. That was really nice. It has no rhyme or reason. So you can imagine more fun just like that on that one.
Well, and that's something that they talk about here about having a safe, convenient travel by vehicles, bicycles, and pedestrianes. So that tells me we're going to see a lot of bike lanes.
Yep.
The road's going to be the complete street on steroids.
Yes.
That's what it's going to be.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, Sherald Parkway Area Road.
Shallard, yes.
Huh?
Shallard.
Right.
Yeah.
Sherald.
Yes.
Okay, Shallard. Fine.
I know that's right over by where you once called home at one point in time. So
it is?
Yes.
Okay. Oxford Industrial Area, including segments of Meadowbrook Road, a bridge over Minnehaha Creek, Oxford and Cambridge Streets, and Edgewood Avenue. And the Texas Avenue, Minnetonka Boulevard intersection. Now, Jay, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
If those things qualify as regional projects,
yes,
what would qualify as a non-regional project? I mean, if the intersection of Minnetonka Boulevard, what do you want to bet they want to put in a roundabout or something? I haven't looked into these plans, but Texas Avenue and Minnetonka Boulevard, which is not far here from our underground layer.
Yes.
Okay. Any half-decent intersection in any city could make that claim.
Mm-hmm.
New Hope could say 36th and Boone.
Right.
Hey, people from Plymouth drive it, Golden Valley drive it, Crystal, it's true.
Yeah.
Sure it is.
Right.
I'll admit I drove it last week. Okay.
Yeah.
49th and Douglas. We can make the same claim.
Sure.
So if that's all it takes to claim a regional project, we're going to see at some point every city having a sales tax. Of course, this is the maximum. Of course, St. Louis Park's not going for 0.49 here.
Right.
It's 0.50. Hawaii 50. St. Louis Park 50. It'll be a new reality show.
It's a reality I'd like to wake up from. So they want to put in it's a sales tax, a local sales tax, because they're saying that these are regional projects. Well,
and there's an area too by Southwest Light Rail. I believe that's the Sherald Parkway area, Sherrard. They consulted with the League of Minnesota Cities as well.
I'm sure they did.
Saying that they believe that they could go ahead with these projects. So that's the big thing. I'm sure Jake the Snake is involved in that.
Yes.
I'm sure he greased everybody's palm. So it's nice to see the League of Minnesota Cities, helping out in a positive way that taxpayers should thank. Here is where I am really going to go off the rails here.
Yes.
And this is in our article here, St. Louis Park is a total joke.
I love it. I can always tell when you write an article, the title is like so-and-so is an idiot.
There is a sting to it, isn't there? I get in a frenzy. I mean, it's a real frenzy. I mean, my keyboard was... I almost poured water on it at the end.
Yeah, smoking.
Now listen to this.
Yeah.
I want you to hear this, Jay, because first off, This is scary, what I'm about to read. Using information available to the Department of Transportation from cell phones, city officials picked the projects based on a need in state statute to show regional significance for the initiatives funded by the sales tax. This software we have access to through MnDOT. This is the city engineer speaking.
Yeah.
Where we can say on the road from here to here how many people are using this road and who doesn't live in St. Louis Park.
All sorts of people.
Now stop for a second.
Yeah.
What kind of data do they got? Do they have every cell phone carrier, I'm wondering?
Yeah. Well, how else are they going to know who it is?
Anybody ask? I mean, I don't know. But I mean, what info do they have? So if I'm driving through any city, MnDOT is collecting this information on where I am and what city I'm driving through. They're collecting that info?
It sounds
the phone company is, and they're sharing it with MnDOT.
They can triangulate where you're at. I guess I shouldn't be surprised that they're collecting that information.
Who has access to all this?
Well, apparently St. Louis Park does.
But I mean, pretty. I mean, what other kinds of information do they have? Yes. And I'd like to know this: if I drove with my cell phone off. How do you fix that? Forgot my cell phone at home? I mean, I don't know. I mean, how much do we, I don't know. How do you know it's all drivers, too? I mean, if you're walking with a cell phone, I mean, how are you going to know if I'm driving or not?
Yeah, that's true.
This is important, though.
Yeah.
Because this right here, and what I'm about to tell you, too, is right smack in the sales pitch of this.
Okay.
Now, take that information, that they're claiming, about how many people are using this road, because the whole thing is they're trying to figure out how they can redo these roads and get somebody else to pay for it. I mean, that's really what, if you really want to know what they're doing, that's what they're trying to do. So listen to this. The reconstruction of the 5 roadway corridors currently proposed is 37.5 million simoleons. Since a University of Minnesota extension study estimated that the tax would generate $5 million a year, planners anticipate that it would take 7.5 years, not million years, 7.5 years. The study estimated that non-residents would pay 55% of the tax, while residents would pay 45% of it. How in the world do you figure that?
Good question.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
If I work in St. Louis Park, it doesn't mean I'm buying anything in St. Louis Park.
Right.
If I drive through St. Louis Park, it doesn't mean I stopped there and got anything.
Right.
But this 45-55 at that meeting got said probably 30 times.
Yeah.
45-55, 45-55. I mean, the way they're going to try to sell this is we're going to implement a tax and you're not going to pay it. Okay? But I don't understand where they get this 55% from. Where do you get that from? How do they know who's buying? How does the University of Minnesota have any idea who's buying anything?
I suppose they figure, X amount of people work in St. Louis Park, so X amount of people commute to work. If people are commuting to work, they might be buying lunch. And you take a look at some of the other.
They bring their own.
Maybe they take counts of passengers that go through certain areas. Those little rubber things on the road that you drive over, and they count how many cars.
Yeah, I try to avoid them.
Like that.
I try to avoid them so they don't count me.
You drive around them?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I Dukes of Hazzard. I drive over them.
Oh, there you go.
But I mean, I think that that's very questionable. And, the idea that you can rely on non-residents to pay anything, I mean, I think that's a pretty weak foundation. I mean, and keep in mind, people are buying clothes, they're buying groceries, they're not paying a sales tax.
Right.
You got to remember this 0.5% is on top of everything that we're already paying.
Yes.
So they're going to be high. You may get people, hey, I'll go to the Caribou Cross Highway 100. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's always an economic reaction when something like this happens. So but I'm going to tell you something. This 45-55, you're going to hear this quoted. You're going to hear it said just over and over and over. That, I'm telling you, is the sales pitch.
It is.
So, you got to hand it to their city council, too.
Yeah.
They asked riveting questions. I mean,
yes.
riveting.
Why don't you lay a few of those questions on me?
Actually, I'm not sure that our favorite, Ann Matvedy,
yes.
the anti-pledge person,
yes,
was just unapologetic in supporting this.
Oh, of course.
Could not contain herself. Needed a cold towel thrown at her in this meeting.
Yes.
And she went on and on and on about how, they're don't worry, non-residents are going to pay for this. I mean, I don't have an exact quote from her because I didn't want to write it down, but she actually made a motion to push it to this year. She wanted it right away.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, and then there was some dissent. The one thing she said though, that I made me chuckle. Is she inquired the city manager on how they could promote the sales tax to voters. Promote it.
Wow.
How do you promote a tax? The city manager said, Tom Hammerning, doesn't matter, ham sandwich, we'll call him, said that state law, what a joke. Does state law really say, quote, prevents the city from promoting or encouraging a yes vote on a ballot question? What?
Really?
Yeah, right. Go to the city's website. They're already promoting it.
Right.
Come on.
They're promoting it by the very fact that they say that they're not promoting it.
But here's what the city can do. And you'll trust St. Louis Park to do this, right, Jay? Mm-hmm. However, the city could provide neutral information, and a local citizens committee could promote the issue as long as the city didn't fund the effort. Oh, hint, hint, wink, wink.
Right.
What's going to happen now? A city group's going to be formed, and this is what they're going to do. They're going to work behind the scenes to make this happen.
Community organizing, 101. Right. Yeah.
They're not going to do it this year because they have to organize.
Mm-hmm.
So look for the sales tax. What are we going to call this?
Well.
SLPST. St. Louis Parks SLPSTC.
Yeah.
St. Louis Park Sales Tax Committee. In fact, why don't we call it Sales Revenue Committee?
Like that.
Because you don't want to say tax.
Right.
The sales collecting or something. Now, you don't want to say that either.
No.
So how do we promote that? He noted the city spent $20,000 educating voters about ranked choice voting.
Uh-huh.
Remember, it was neutral,
right,
when they did it.
Right, exactly.
But I mean, I think about like Elk River. What they say, neutral. Put a gun to your head and say, right. Look, you either approve this or we're going to borrow it, and it'll cost $10 million more. Is that neutral promoting?
No.
Council member, oh boy, Nadia Mohammed, I'm butchering it, doesn't matter, was conflicted on her vote. Of course, she did not oppose any of the projects, didn't oppose the idea of a tax increase, but asked whether they had considered all funding methods. In other words, have we raised everything else that we can possibly raise? The city manager said the options of grants, property tax hikes, special assessments, increasing franchise fees are all on the table. So just keep that. And of course, then came the scare tactics that if they don't improve this, we're all going to die. Maybe remember that. Right. So don't, keep that in mind too. Your friend, Councilman Tim Brazen, your buddy.
Oh, yeah.
Was also glowing in support. Quote, it shares the burden for our roads with those who work in our city every day, but don't pay taxes here. Costs have gone up for road construction. No doy. And he was lavish in his praise about the local legislators, about how great they are, and about how Arthur Fonzarelli III Jr. is Winkler III Jr.
Yes.
is going to is ready and waiting with legislation in hand.
Oh, absolutely.
To push this. The second St. Louis Park is ready. Arthur Fonzarelli Winkler is there with that already written. Probably with him and Jake the Snake probably got together over whole milk or something and wrote it all up. So
yeah.
So, and there were other council members who to varying degrees. I mean, I'll just say this: to varying degrees, were supportive, but not quite ready to lay this on everybody yet.
Yeah, and that's the key right there, Andrew, is not that they're not behind it. It's that they haven't figured out how to do this without upsetting people yet. They
haven't figured out the sales pitch. I mean, that's a great way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
They got to go back to the drawing board, but I'm going to tell you this 55%. Here's another thing that they've done. In the local paper, they talked about this point, because one of the tactics of a referendum is to try to minimize how much money it is, and we've heard the sayings. It's a latte a day. Come on, it's change you can find in your couch cushions. Right. You got it sitting in your car underneath a seat. Okay. And they talked about, in the Sun Post article, they talked about how it was $5 for every, what was it? 50 cents for every $100.
Wow.
On the city website.
Yeah.
They changed it.
Really?
It was 5 cents for every $10. They already have started. That's something that only keen people like you and me would point out.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to the lowest denominator.
Yeah.
It's like, how many times do you see a school referendum? Oh, it's only $4 a month.
Right.
Yeah, but there's 12 months in a year, and this referendum's 10 years long.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not a latte a day after that.
No.
So,
when you add it with all the other tax increases.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The regular tax increases, the county, the city, the Met Council, the watershed, the park district, everybody takes 3 cents here, 5 cents there, 10 cents here.
Yep. At
some point, it's real money. But I want to challenge the idea. I mean, Jay, we're community solutions here, okay? And some might say, well, isn't a local sales tax something you'd support over free money from somewhere else? Isn't this city's deciding things for themselves and the voters can reject it? Yeah. Isn't this, because we'll get questions like that. But I would argue that this is pretty deceitful information to begin with. And second, you can't continue to open up revenue streams to government because they never, ever, 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 ever go away.
No, they never go away. They get repurposed, and that's just the way it works.
They get resold, repurposed, repackaged, whatever you want to call it. I mean, here's the thing. it's kind of like this. They've been jacking up property taxes for how long in St. Louis Park? Forever. I think they've reached a point where they can't jack them up anymore.
Well, they're probably getting there. I mean, or at least they want to spread it out a little bit.
Right, but isn't that what I'm getting at? Is that, why do you add franchise fees? Mm-hmm. So, we only raised your taxes 1 or 2%. Oh, but by the way, look at your electric bill. Oh, we only raised your taxes 1 or 2%, but we gave you a huge special assessment. I mean, one way or another, they're getting your money.
Yeah, they're set on it.
But I mean, this legislation, this idea that cities can go and how about we redefine a regional project? How could any city claim that they're going to collect a tax for a regional purpose?
Well, I mean, there are probably some instances where you're dealing with highways and things like that.
Yeah, but they're under MnDOT's jurisdiction, not the city.
Yeah,
city's not doing that project.
When you're paying for that, although there are maybe some instances, I know, like with Highway 100, when they took those stoplights out, where they had to have overpasses built and things like that. And I think there are probably dependencies on the cities. But yeah, to say that, 42nd and whatever, Florida or whatever, just pick an intersection somewhere, has regional impacts. No.
But I mean, it's too broad. It's too broad to say, well, we're going to do something on a county road and a city road, and we're going to call that a regional deal. I mean, to me, like I said before, a regional project is, like the completion of 610. Okay. That's regional. Yeah. It goes all the way from Fridley all the way to what? Like Rogers or Maple Grove or something like that. It goes over, I think it goes over 2 different counties. Mm-hmm. That's a project that really did require a lot of people, however it was paid. I don't even know. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter. But that has an impact regionally. It has an impact on a lot of cities, a lot of commutes, a lot of businesses. Yeah. It's very, very different than putting bike lanes on Minnetonka Boulevard or a roundabout somewhere. Mm-hmm. But I mean, is it really this simple to make this case that, I mean, even what was done in Elk River. I mean, how is a hockey arena? I mean, you could argue XL Energy Center isn't even a regional project. Yeah, it affects St. Paul. Okay, and St. Paul affects a lot of other things, but, how can a hockey rink in Elk River be considered a regional project? I mean, how? It's virtually impossible to say that.
Well, you got me, but yet they do it, and we see this no matter what the issue is, really, where their ability to weave words together to mean things that they don't really mean, it's astounding. They should all be fiction authors. They'd all have New York Times bestsellers.
Oh, they'd have movie rights and everything they would have. I mean, nobody can put together BS like city councils and city staff can. It's just incredible.
Yeah.
But I mean, the whole thing but I just, and then what do you want to bet? I think part of why they don't want to go, they don't want to have an election in an even year. Yeah. They want to do it in an odd year, which may give opposition some ammunition. I mean, that is possible there. But I mean, this council's all for it. I mean, this council is its tactics, its timing, it's things like that. It's not goals. It's not the end game that they separate on.
Right.
And I'm just astounded that anybody can say 55% of sales tax revenue collected in St. Louis Park comes from non-residents. I don't know how anybody knows that. It could be true.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. But then isn't the next city over? Wouldn't they be very similar? I mean, couldn't Edina say, hey, well, we'll have a sales tax too. Hey, 55% of it's not paid by...
Right.
And who is collecting data on my cell phone?
Well, I would guess it's the cell company.
Okay, so the cell company collects the data. How does MnDOT get a hold of it?
The cell company must sell it to them or provide it.
So they're selling where I am right now, and I'm sure they're monitoring you and I, Jay. I mean, we're on their enemies list for sure.
Well, for sure.
'Cause you wanted to be MnDOT commissioner, right?
No, I was head of Met Council. You were the MnDOT commissioner.
I was the MnDOT. Oh, boy, then they're really going, oh, Pope, I better shut mine off. I mean, they got to be going after me. But, another thing, too, just to think of is we're going to see this now, just like Tobacco 21, which is now the law of the land, just like things like ranked choice voting, just like franchise fees, just like things we talk about over and over and over ad nauseum. And I know sometimes it gets repetitive. But, Jay, we're going to see this in other cities, too. You're going to see them, okay, how can we justify a sales tax? We got to find a few areas. We'll call up the League of Minnesota Cities.
Yes.
And get their legal department to tell us what areas are these the biggest needs in the city? Or is this just where they can get the money? Well,
I think there's something to be said for that, I don't think it has anything to do with the biggest needs.
Well, when does government ever do the biggest needs?
Yeah, it doesn't.
So, I mean, what's the next city to take this on? What's the next city to go out and say, the world's going to end if we don't pass a referendum here? And remember, this is a regressive tax. I mean, we should mention that. This is a tax that will hit lower and middle income people harder.
Always.
This is on top of all the other sales taxes. I mean, Hennepin County, you're already paying a higher sales tax than the state is. I mean, this is going to push it around 8%. Mm-hmm. Maybe higher. I mean, what's Hennepin County's now? Another 0.25? I mean, I don't remember, I guess, and I think the state is like around 6.9. I mean, in another half a cent, you're looking at 8%. I mean, how much higher can it go? At some point, it never goes down.
No.
So at some point, it's going to be 9%, 10%, 12%. Where does it go? Where does it go that look, I'd get rid of an income tax and put on a consumption tax any day of the week. Because I'd rather have my money before anybody touches it. And I get taxed on my economic activity, not on my income.
Right.
But that's not what's going on here. My income taxes aren't going anywhere. And, how many times can you hit? Of course, St. Louis Park had no discussion whatsoever about cutting spending. Oh, no. There was no discussion at all about, hey, what can we do to lower spending in this city?
That would be a novel conversation.
Believe me, that never came up at this meeting, and I'm sure it didn't come up at a work session. I'm just concerned about the data collecting. I'm concerned about this going to that every city at some point is going to do this. Every city at some point is going to, not every, but a lot of them are going to say, look, we don't want to pay for this, or we don't want to cut anything, so we're going to go to this new revenue stream. And depending on who's in the legislature or who's governor, this could get a total blank check for how long? I mean, I don't know. This is just scary to me, and I don't know. I don't know what's going to stop it. Well, I do know what's going to stop it, and that's different people. By the way, now a board member at the League of Minnesota Cities, Mayor Jake the Snake. Your pal and friend, Jay.
Yeah, I can't wait. Can't wait for lunch. That's
a board member. It's at the National League of Cities. As of November 19th, he is and by the way, you'll be glad to know, too, that Jake the Snake is a race, equity, and learning co-vice chair also at the National League of Cities.
Wow.
So, not not doing a whole lot as to represent St. Louis Park. More just using that to promote himself. All of experience previously with Amy Klobuchar. So, but I mean, just scary things happening, and I want to debunk that 55-45 thing. I don't know how to do it, but could it be true?
I mean, St. Louis Park is a busy city, and there are a lot of people that come here from the surrounding areas. It's hard to say. I mean, looking at where the boundaries are, I know off of Louisiana, there's that park and ride there, but that's actually Golden Valley. I have thought for a long time that 394 was the dividing line between the two cities, but it's actually Wayzata Boulevard on the south side of 394, yes. So actually, that park and ride is Golden Valley.
Well, Golden Valley I'm sure, will be proud to claim that.
Yes, I'm sure they will. When you look at places like that, you look at the whole West End area, and does that bring in a whole bunch of people from all over? Probably. It's not a very long distance to travel if you live downtown Minneapolis.
Or in Golden Valley.
Or
even Plymouth, even, if you live off of 394.
Most people in Edina, I think, will go to 50th in France.
But I mean... Yeah. Any shopping area or center or place or big grocery store or Home Depot type place in any city is going to do that.
Right. And so could you really call that regional? I don't think so.
I don't know how you possibly do. I really don't. Because any city then could claim that their shopping center is regional. Go to Crystal, okay, where the Crystal Shopping Center is on Bass Lake. And people from Brooklyn Park certainly go there. People from Brooklyn Center probably go there, at least a little bit. People from New Hope certainly do. People from Robbinsdale, that's probably the closest Target or, a store like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of places to eat. There's, people driving 81. How many people use that every day from whatever city? They could live in Osseo and work in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
They could. I mean, if you're going to make that claim, then there's nothing that doesn't classify as regional. There's no major intersection. There's no county. Every county road could be regional. Anything on Rockford Road could be a regional project. Seriously.
Yeah.
Wait, where does it go? It goes all the way out to Hamel or something. I mean, it all could be. And I think that's something that really needs to be. If that's true, and if the League of Minnesota Cities is backing St. Louis Park or help them write the thing, you got to believe that they found verbiage that backs their claim up. So I mean, just the data collecting, and I tell you, there's 20 out of 25 city councils out here in the north and west suburbs that I think would implement this if they could find the justification for it. I think there's a handful of cities that wouldn't. But I think you're looking at a whole lot that would.
Absolutely.
Like I said, look for New Hope to claim 36th and Winnetka is regional.
Yeah, well, it'll spread to Golden Valley. And
Golden Valley, absolutely.
Minnetonka's probably going to look at it because you have that whole area with Ridgedale over there.
Minnetonka could make a better case for it
because of Ridgedale, yeah.
Not saying I totally agree, but they could certainly say that Ridgedale certainly is bigger than anything in St. Louis Park or New Hope. And I still, again, I don't know how they quantify where everybody comes from. Obviously, it's not all Minnetonka, but but I still don't know. Maybe the place like the Mall of America could say that. I'm sure they could. But I think it's very rare to have something that we really consider regional.
Yeah.
Because to me, regional is a big blob on a map, Jay. It's a big blob. It's not a couple pencil tips with your number 2 there, area, the end of a skinny Sharpie. It's a large area.
Well, think about some of these reliever airports we have, and they're called regional airports.
Right.
They serve the area around it. It's not just people taking off from Flying Cloud Airport and coming back around to Flying Cloud Airport, or in Blaine or anywhere else.
Yeah, Apple Valley has one.
Yeah, Crystal. No, you have people that, they take off, they fly around the region, and so to think that you have a regional trail, well, a lot of these trails, though, I mean, you're looking at biking, you're looking at walking. They want to.
Is that part of this connecting to all these?
Yeah, they want to interconnect all these trails because, and I wonder if the reason that they want to do that, Andrew, is so that they can claim that it's a regional trail and get money, implement a sales tax to get more tax money to do it.
When I heard Minnehaha Creek was the bridge over that, I'm like, oh boy. Yeah. Talk about a bridge over troubled waters. That's because I know there's trails and stuff everywhere there, and there has to be some connection somewhere. If there is, they don't do a good job of explaining it.
No.
But I'm still lost as to how any of this classifies as that. We've either completely changed the definition of that to the point where we have no definition at all. And the idea that again, you're going to fund everything you want with somebody else's money. I mean how many this is no different than saying, I'm not going to raise taxes on you. Okay, I'm going to raise it on your boss. I'm going to raise it on your neighbor. I'm going to raise it on your grandpa. Don't worry, you're going to just get free stuff. You're just going to have stuff just show up at your door. Right. Easter baskets are just going to land at your door. I mean, what's the difference between those two things? That's exactly what they're promising here. They're promising free stuff. Somebody else is going to buy it for you.
Right.
So I mean, St. Louis Park, like I said, folks, don't watch that meeting. Just don't. Just trust me.
But yet be very aware of what they're doing. I mean, you have to be informed, because if you don't, you're going to be stuck paying this. I know we talked to a guy not too long ago from St. Louis Park that down in the Wooddale area, they wanted to take out a bunch of stuff, get rid of some on-street parking for residents so that they can put in a bike lane. This shouldn't be a surprise. I mean, when a city has a complete streets policy, they're going to put in complete streets. When there's money out there to be had, they're going to try and go out and get that money, especially when you have a bigger city where a lot of people come to. As thin as it may be to call those streets regional, they're going to try and do it, and they're going to try and make it into something that that gets them that extra bump that they're looking for.
Exactly, and there's no end to the and what at some point, 0.5%, Jay, that won't be enough.
Right.
We're going to change the. We have to make it 0.75. We're going to have to make it 1. We're going to have to make it 39. We're going to at some point, of course, that won't be enough. I mean, this is where it's heading. And I just can totally see, New Hope, Golden Valley, Hopkins, Edina, all going, yeah. And then the plans we've got to connect to this trail, and while we're at it, we're gonna put in a roundabout here and some bike lanes there, and we need a sales tax to get that accomplished. To have your new Edina,
yes.
to have the Edina we all want, then that's what's going to happen. So just again, folks, I mean, it will update you on St. Louis Park, and look for a few things to come up. Look for a committee to be formed.
Right.
Look for talking points, and you'll see them, and we've already found 2 of them. 5 cents of every $10, 55% not being paid by the residents. What do you want to bet those are the first 2 talking points?
Yeah.
And you'll probably find 1 or 2 more, and they're going to sell it and sell it and sell it and sell it and sell it. By the way,
yeah,
just because the city can't finance it, does that mean like a council member can't make a donation?
I'm sure they could.
So Jake the Snake could get together with it and say, all right, hey, we're all doing the office pool to put all the money into the committee, the SLP. What did I call it? Sales Revenue Committee. SLP SRC.
Wow. That just flows off the tongue like
doesn't say anything.
molasses in January.
Yeah. Slap SRC, right?
Right.
SLP SRC.
Wow.
Wouldn't it be something if they called it that, though?
Yeah.
The tremendous prognostication on the show would once again rear its ugly head. There you go, St. Louis Park.
Wow.
And remember, when in doubt, you have Arthur Fonzarelli Winkler, the third junior,
Yes.
there to take his marching orders. And Ron Lance is no different.
No.
They're ready to, in the Senate. They're ready to take those marching orders and bring that home. Bring it home for their home district for St. Louis Park. They're going to bring it home.
Well, that's great news.
Yeah, another sad show. I apologize.
Boy. Well, I hope you're happy, Minnesota. I hope you're happy because you keep putting people in the legislature that vote for these things and make it so that, well, what else do you expect these local politicians to do but to step into the things that have been created for them by the legislature? So how do we fix it? We put good people in at the local level in the hopes that they're going to rise up into the legislature, get rid of the bad laws, and that we'll still have a good majority of people at the local level. That is where we're headed. And so if you think that we can do this and sit back and watch it happen, somebody else will take care of it, it's going to happen. And we gotta stand up. We can't continue to do this the same way. That's what got us into this jam in the first place, waiting for somebody else to do it. That's why we're here. That's why we've been here as long as we have been, and our focus, our purpose has changed over the years. I mean, we started out Crystal-centric, and it was about what was going on in the city of Crystal. When we won that, and we found out that all these things were going on all over the place, we grew. Our vision grew with what we were finding out, and we're to a point now where we see the same things happening across this entire nation and even in other countries. This is not something that is isolated to St. Louis Park or Crystal or Bowabic or anywhere else in this state. What are you laughing about?
I was thinking of some funny city names. I won't say them.
Okay.
The town of Massachusetts. Saw on Jackass. Myanus.
Okay. Wow.
You ever see that episode?
No, I did not.
Okay, I just got to describe it quick.
Okay.
So the Knox guy, Johnny Knox, he goes...
Knoxville?
Yeah, Knoxville. He goes to Myanus, and they knock on the door of this old lady who's lived in Myanus for this lady did not get it. Okay, so he goes, so what's there to do here in Myanus? And she's like, well, we got the post office down here and blah blah blah. How does it smell here in Myanus? Just hilarious. A lot of people here in Myanus.
Oh, boy.
I mean, it was just great. It's probably on YouTube or something right now. But for some reason, when you started city names, all I thought about was Myanus and Timbuktu. That's the only thing I thought about. So, anyhow.
Yes.
Continue with your great, your world-class closing, Jay.
Well, how do you even follow that up? Minnesota. We're at a point in history where we can continue to do the same old thing we've always done, but we're going to lose freedom if we continue to do that. And so it's up to you. If this is something you're interested in, just government and how government works, and you're worried about what you see happening in front of your own eyes, then that's a clue that you should be doing something. And it doesn't take that much of a time commitment. If you're on an advisory commission, it might take you 3 hours a month. If you're in a city council, it'll take you more than that. But you know what? It is well worth the time and the sacrifice that you make to do it. And so we just want to go around and tell people, you can do this. You can stand up and you can make a difference. So for those of you who are looking for something to do, you don't want to pay more taxes. You don't want some local option sales tax added on top of everything else. So every time you buy something, you're paying more taxes and more taxes and more taxes and more taxes. Then now is the time. I mean, I don't mean 2020 is the year to do it. I mean now, this moment, it is incumbent upon you to make a decision. 2020,
the perfect year.
Mm-hmm. It is the perfect year to get going. But now is the perfect moment to get going. Because if you wait till summer, it's too late.
Right now is the perfect moment.
That's it.
As we sit here.
Yep. So, we're going to continue building our team of 20,000 strong to take back and take back these seats of local influence, whether they're appointed, whether they're elected, and to be able to make something happen, make freedom more well-known rather than more restrictions, rather than higher taxes. No. It is about letting people live, to pursue happiness, as our founders so eloquently stated in the Declaration of Independence. The right to life, the right to liberty, and the right to pursue happiness.
I swear I read that somewhere.
Yeah, Declaration of Independence.
Is that where I read it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what are you going to do? The choice is yours. You can continue to do the same things you've always done. And it won't be the same result. It's going to be worse results because you have people that are pushing to get these things implemented. Or you can stand up, you can get involved, and you can do something to the opposite of it. And you can be a hero on your street, in your own home, in your own city. It happens. We're here to help you. Get a hold of us at commsolutionsmn@gmail.com. That is commsolutionsmn@gmail.com. And we will be more than happy to sit down with you, to sit down with your group and teach you all about how local stuff works. That's why we're here. That's the whole reason we do this, because we want to make this state shine as a beacon, a shining example to the rest of the country, and we'll only do that by stepping up and doing something rather than sitting and letting it be done to us. So with that, Minnesota, you've heard it all, and we're going to go away. We're going to come back in another week, and we're going to say things that are going to amaze you once again. But until then, we love you, Minnesota, and it's your turn to get to work.
If I get too caught